I was wrong about the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade. And I'm so happy to be able to say that aloud. I was wrong about the trade.
This video is brought to you by Factor. You can eat stress-free with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready in just 2 minutes. Each week, you get a menu of 35 different options, and that is including different things like Calorie Smart, keto, protein plus, vegan and veggie. Like I mentioned, in just 2 minutes. Sometimes I forget to eat. I'm always in the lab grinding. And I can have my meal ready just like that.
It's time to eat, so you know I'm rocking with Factor. Today, I got the Caribbean spice tofu. I ain't gonna lie, tofu been kind of a hit. So I take it out the sleeve, poke a bunch of holes in, and I'm gonna pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes. Now that the 2 minutes is up, it is time to eat.
But not only do they have the meals, you can also discover more than 60 different add-ons a week, like breakfast, ready-to-go lunches, snacks, beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. So what are you waiting for? Get started today and fuel up for springtime goals. Because if you use code 50Kenny, you can get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box with Factor. And again, that is code 50Kenny for 50% off plus free shipping. Shout out again to Factor for sponsoring this video.
Now, yesterday, Josh Giddey had another phenomenal performance, 25 points, 11 assists, 14 rebounds, and one of the best game-winning shots you will ever see with your own 2 eyes. And as I'm sitting here and I'm watching this moment, one of the best comebacks down by 5 with 12 seconds to go, and they made it happen in regulation, mind you. I'm thinking about it like, this is one of the coolest moments I have ever had to experience as a Bulls fan. Now, it may say something about where the Bulls have been over the last 20 plus years, but this random March game that may not mean anything in the grand scheme of things was so damn fun that, like, y'all have never seen me create content while any of my favorite teams were good. As long as I've been creating content, the Bulls were either tanking during like the Wendell Carter, Larry Market, Chris Dunn era, or starting the re-up that inevitably failed, which was the DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Vucevic experiment, and then what we are now. I have never been a fan of a good team in my content creation life. The last time the Bulls were good, I was in high school, and I wasn't really diving into content creation. Same thing happens with the Chicago White Sox, where like last year, we were the worst team in the history of the sport. And the Bears. So like, you've never seen me be a guy that can talk about his favorite team super positively. And I say that to say, I understand it. I'm not even saying that the Bulls are good right now. We've been playing really good basketball as of late, but that doesn't make you good. A 15-game sample size, a 17-game sample size doesn't make you a good basketball team. But I understand it. When y'all are in my comments saying, Kenny, you got to talk about my favorite team because they're playing great. Where I turn on the TV, and Lord knows I don't be watching these daytime basketball or sports shows no more, but I turned on the TV this morning just to see, will I get any moments of Bulls talk? And we did. And it was electric. So I say that all to say, I understand where y'all are coming from. And I'm not a toxic fan by any means. Like, my boy Mike is a diehard Lakers fan. I could have hit the group chat talking all the amount of trash to him about the 2 games we played against the Lakers. That's not in my character necessarily, but like, I understand when y'all are friendly trash talking me when your favorite team beat up on the Bulls. But back to the original point. I was wrong about the Josh Giddey trade. And one thing that was very important in my household as I was growing up was, you know, having the, I don't know, I didn't even know the words for it. Let's just say ability to admit when you are wrong. My parents told me growing up that being able to admit your faults would just overall be better in every single relationship that you have, whether it be personal, whether it be family, whether it be whatever. Being able to say, my fault, that's on me, goes a long way. And I've never shied away from that, even in content creation. You think about it like this, 365 days out of the year, I'm creating basketball content. I'm making predictions. I am going to be wrong. On this channel, I make fun of myself when I swing and miss. Remember the dude that said that the Phoenix Suns were going to have a good regular season record? Them dudes fighting to make the play-in. I was wrong there, and we can laugh about it. Me being wrong about the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade is amazing because that means my team did something good. They did something good. So let's reflect on what happened in that trade. If you don't remember, it was a straight up 1-for-1, Alex Caruso to OKC, Josh Giddey to the Chicago Bulls. And originally my first thought was, how do we not have the leverage to get any draft assets out of this trade, especially considering who you traded with in OKC, who at that point had, I think, 17 first-round picks and a gazillion, I might be exaggerating here, but maybe not, a gazillion second-round picks in their treasure chest. How do we not get any form of draft compensation? The Bulls had all the leverage as multiple teams were calling about an all-defensive player in Alex Caruso, and Josh Giddey had just flamed out of the playoffs. So in my mind, it was a poor asset management call. And I can reflect on it and still say, I think that's probably still the case. That if the Bulls asked for one of the heavily protected first or 3 second-round picks, Sam Presti would probably say yes to that trade. Josh Giddey in himself has evolved a lot, not just between last year and this year, but in this season alone. And I think there's a couple different factors for this, but like earlier in the year, Josh Giddey was almost unplayable in fourth quarters. And I just cherry-picked the first 5 of the first 10 games of the season for Josh Giddey. And just looking at fourth quarter stats, he starts off the fourth quarter. This is like game 3 of the season. Game 3 of the season, he starts off the fourth quarter. He hits 2 shots, hit a 3. He did not close this game. Instead, they opted to go with Ayo Dosunmu. A few games later, against his old team, Josh Giddey played 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. Again, that was the first 5 minutes and not the second 5 minutes. Wait, first 5 minutes, not the second 5 minutes? You get what I'm saying? He started off that game in the fourth quarter and didn't finish. This is a game where he did play the fourth quarter. In this fourth quarter, he scored 7 points. He was a plus 14. Shout out to him in this one. But it was, I don't want to call it a rare occasion, but like there are many games where Josh Giddey just straight up didn't play fourth quarters, and we're talking about in close games. This doesn't count because the Bulls were down by so much that nobody played in the fourth quarter. That was good. This article from Sports Illustrated shows you that, again, in November 11th, NBA fans react to the Bulls' Josh Giddey decision, and that decision was from KC Johnson, Dosunmu closing over Giddey again. So this was happening time and time again, probably because Josh Giddey is the worst defender I've ever laid my eyes on. That is from fans. Josh Giddey getting exploited on defense all game. Another one, defense is a huge factor in trying to win games, KC. How much does Josh Giddey get in the open market and restricted free agency? So, like, this was a normal occurrence for Billy Donovan to bench Josh Giddey in favor of someone else because he just couldn't stay on the floor defensively. And now this completely shifted where, like, you can't even take him off the floor. And I think there's a couple different things. Josh Giddey has been very candid about teams picking on him defensively, and he said it's embarrassing. He doesn't want it to happen anymore. And I truly do believe that Josh Giddey has raised his level of play on the defensive side of the ball. He's far from being a good defender / great defender, but the effort is there. And there are certain matchups where I do believe Josh Giddey excels at. I do believe that, some of the steals that you see him create is just getting his hand in the cookie jar as a help defender and causing a strip. The game seal or the game-winning steal, if you will, is just him playing smart and using his active hands. And that was something that wasn't really happening earlier in the season. So we've seen him progress on a night-to-night basis, it feels like. Another thing that I think benefited Josh Giddey is the Chicago Bulls. At one point in time, this is their roster, right? This is even the people that got traded like Zach LaVine. At one point in time, they had so many guards that it made it easier for Billy Donovan to bench one of them if one of them wasn't playing well. Josh Giddey, Lonzo Ball, Javon was getting some burn. You had Zach LaVine, you had Ayo, you had Kobe, you had Dalen, you had THT who ended up playing a lot of minutes at one point in the season. And it was just too many cooks in the kitchen where anybody that has watched Josh Giddey over the course of his career recognized that Josh Giddey is so much more of an effective on-ball player than off-ball player. While when he was playing with all of these other guards, he basically had to change his personal game to fit with the others. And that wasn't really his cup of tea. Now, recently, with this explosion of on-court impact, we've seen Ayo Dosunmu go out for the rest of the season, get well soon. Zach LaVine, of course, has been traded. Trey Jones is out for some time. Lonzo Ball is out for the time. So now we genuinely have what seems to be a normal rotation compared to other teams, where you're not playing 17 guards and one center and saying this is the way it goes. There was a point in the season where the Bulls were really running out 4 point guards and one center. Now, this is a game where Josh Giddey played well, but Lonzo, Ayo, Josh Giddey, and Kobe White with Vooch. And they ended up winning this game. But they were starting this level of lineup on a nightly basis. And, like, Josh Giddey wasn't, again, in this game he played very well, but, like, in the grand scheme, he wasn't getting the amount of touches or opportunity to create for himself or others because he had 4 other guys that do well with the ball in their hands. Eventually, you saw Billy Donovan decide to make the decision of Matas Buzelis starting, and that's a big body, and now we got less cooks in the kitchen. And I've been trying so very hard to find like some database where I can see advanced stats but only advanced stats for the last 20 games. Because if I go to overall advanced stats, Josh Giddey's stats don't jump off the page because it's got like the games where, you know, he was playing not so great. But I really want to see what this net rating looks like. I really want to see what his efficiency numbers looks like, because one thing that has been better throughout the course of the season, Josh Giddey is putting his head down and he is getting to the basket at will in a lot of cases, where not a lot of people are able to stay in front of him, which is funny because he's not like extremely quick, or he doesn't have like a crazy handle or anything. Only thing he's got is this really good push ahead dribble in transition. If you watch the Bulls, you'll know he'll throw it like 6 feet in front of himself and like catch up with the ball. But that's kind of it. And for the first time in his career, he has a positive expected wins. And that's amazing, man. That really is amazing. And again, I wonder if we just took the last 25 games opposed to the whole 70 game sample size, what it could look like. Oh, I did it. Oh my God, I found out how. Oh my God, it's about to be great. So in the last, let's give it 20 games. Only reason I went 19 games is because this is the first game without Zach LaVine. So since the Zach LaVine trade. The actual on-court stats are 21 points per game, 9 rebounds, 7.5 assists, which is great. He's shooting 51% from the field, 49% from three, almost 80% from the free throw line. A 26% usage. His points per shot attempt is 128.8. 128.8. What if he did that for an entire season? What does that look like? Because that's bothering me. 128.8 sounds like insane. 128.8. Get rid of these dudes that don't play. 128.8 is Sam Hauser efficiency, Cam Johnson efficiency, Zach LaVine efficiency. So that's really good. Now, granted, we can't expect Josh Giddey to be a 50% three-point shooter. I don't even know if we can expect him to be a 38% three-point shooter when it's all said and done. But he's been playing phenomenal hoops. And the question is, how much of March basketball can you really trust? Since I am a fan of this team, I'm trusting the whole thing, damn it. It's all real to me. But you have to figure out how much of that do you really trust. And he's going to go into the market, right? And he's going to want market value. And market value right now is $25 to $30 million for a starting point guard. I'm at the point in time where I'm like, give him the money. And I can't say that I expected that to be the case when we first made the trade. Now, I'm going back to the original trade, and to clear some things up, me saying that I was wrong about the Josh Giddey trade doesn't mean that OKC didn't get what they want. I think OKC still walked out feeling amazing, and they should still feel amazing, where I don't think Alex Caruso hits the criteria to make an all-defensive team this year. I could be wrong there, but I don't think he hits the criteria. But he is still, by every metric and every piece of eye test, one of the best defensive players in all of basketball. So I think not even a year out, we're talking 6 months, 8 months out since the trade has happened. It seems like a good old win-win scenario where that did not feel like the case when it originally happened. I had dropped the video 24 hours after trade, and I was way more optimistic about it, but even that level of optimism wasn't me thinking that Josh Giddey was going to make this amount of money and might have the ceiling of a real all-star. I was wrong. And that's so great, man. That's so great to have that feeling. I mentioned it before that, like, I have completely transitioned to being a pot B, pot 2 type of viewer for the Bulls, where I'm actively rooting for them to win every single game. I'm not thinking about lottery odds, even though that probably is the best interest for the organization. I'm not thinking about lottery odds because this team is too damn fun for me to ask them to do what the Raptors are doing. The Raptors are sitting their starting players in the fourth quarter. I can't ask them to do that, man. Our starters, our guys, our Kobe Whites, our Zach LaVines, our Modest Buzelises, our Dalen Terrys, our Patrick Williams, who had a big shot yesterday. I would rather just let them hoop. And if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. Whatever. And right now, the Bulls have one of the easiest schedules left in basketball. They have one of the easiest schedules left in basketball. And look at this. They're a game and a half behind the Orlando Magic. What the heck? Like, them taking the 8th seed is realistic. Would I put money on it? Probably not. Because the Orlando Magic have looked better over the last 5 games versus, what they did 7 games ago. But it's in play. Like a 500 season is kind of in play with 11 games left. Can the Bulls win 7 of 11? That's basically what they just did. And I'm telling you that these games that they have coming up some of these are against genuine teams that are not trying to win. So they got Dallas tomorrow, and Dallas is they're still competing, especially with Anthony Davis being back. We have OKC. That ain't gonna be a good one. Or maybe it is. No, it's not. Then they have the Raptors, the Blazers, who are a good team, but we're on the same level of team as them. We have the Hornets. Then we have don't think about the Cavs, but then we got Miami, and then we got Washington, and then we got Philly. They, in theory, could win 7 of those games. Am I tripping? I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Last time we talked with the Bulls, I was mentioning how them being a young, exciting team is different than like a Magic who did it last year or a Pistons who did it this year, because those two teams have players that you expect to make an All-NBA appearance one day. Kay Cunningham might make an All-NBA appearance this season. And I still do believe that, but who am I to put a ceiling on anybody? You know, Josh Giddey's still the 3rd youngest player on the entire Bulls team, even though he's in year 4 or year 5. That don't even make sense to me. He come in, he was 14? Who knows? Either way, I'm probably gearing myself up for heartbreak when they give Josh Giddey this money and then this was all a fluke month. But I'm enjoying it right now.